All right, so today we're going back in time.
Way back.
Way back to ancient Rome,
Yeah.
to the height of its power during the Pax Romana. Have
Mm.
you ever heard of this Pax Romana?
Yo,
It's
good time.
it's a big one.
Yeah.
It lasted for over 2 centuries.
That's a long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
And you know what's wild?
What?
The Mediterranean Sea basically became a Roman lake.
Wow.
That's how much control they had.
Yeah.
They stretched across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East.
It really is remarkable how they managed to keep it together for so long.
It really is.
Yeah.
This Pax Romana, this period of so-called Roman peace.
Right.
It wasn't all sunshine and roses.
Not at all.
But let's start with a scene that perfectly captures the might of the Roman Empire.
Okay.
Picture this. The year is 122 AD.
Okay.
The Emperor Hadrian, the most powerful man in the world.
Wow.
He's standing at the edge of the known world in Britain,
Okay.
on the banks of the River Tyne. And he's about to embark on a massive construction project, Hadrian's Wall.
Oh, yeah, what a project it was.
What a project.
This wall is incredible.
It's 80 miles.
80 miles long across rugged terrain,
Wow.
built of stone, with a military road running alongside it,
A military road.
and a deep ditch in front.
This is a testament to the engineering of the Romans.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine the resources and the manpower it took to build something like that back then?
It's mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling.
Wow.
And to think it's still standing today.
It is.
It's a testament to the power and ambition of the Roman Empire.
Absolutely.
I think of it as a real-life Game of Thrones wall,
Oh, yeah.
meant to keep out those pesky barbarians.
Right.
You know, George R.R. Martin was actually inspired by Hadrian's Wall when he created the wall in his series.
Interesting.
It makes you think, why did the Romans at the peak of their power feel the need to build such a massive fortification?
Yeah.
What does that tell us about their anxieties? Even during this supposed golden age,
Right, exactly.
it really does challenge this simplistic notion of the Pax Romana,
Yes.
that it was a time of uninterrupted peace and prosperity.
It certainly does.
It was much more complex.
It was.
It was marked by both remarkable achievements and deep contradictions.
Absolutely.
On the one hand, you had incredible advances in infrastructure,
Yes.
trade, and technology.
That's right.
I mean, the Romans, they built roads, aqueducts, and public buildings
Unbelievable.
that were marvels of engineering.
Yeah.
They established a legal system that influenced Western law for centuries,
Mm-hmm.
and they fostered a level of economic and political stability
Yeah.
that much of the world had not experienced before.
Yeah, it's what you always hear about the Pax Romana.
It's what you always hear, right?
Yeah.
It's a golden age.
Well, that's what the 18th century historian Edward Gibbon thought.
Okay.
He famously called the 2nd century AD the period in the history of the world during which the condition of the human race was most happy and prosperous.
Wow, that's high praise
It is.
coming from a historian.
Yes.
But are you hinting that there's more to the story?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
While there were undeniable benefits to Roman rule,
Mm.
particularly for Roman citizens,
Yep.
this Pax Romana wasn't a golden age for everyone.
Okay.
It was a period of intense exploitation and oppression.
Oh, wow.
For those who were conquered by Rome,
Okay.
don't forget, this peace was maintained through military might,
Right.
and Roman expansion came at a steep cost.
For a lot of
For
people.
many people, yes.
So it sounds like some experienced the Pax Romana as a time of peace and prosperity,
Yes.
but others experienced it as a time of conquest and subjugation.
I got it.
It was a duality,
It was.
this tension between order and oppression,
Exactly.
which is a crucial aspect of the Pax Romana.
It is.
I mean, it makes you think about it from different perspectives.
Yes.
Right.
Different perspectives of those who lived during this era.
And really makes you grapple with the complexities of Roman rule.
It really does.
So we're starting to see that the Pax Romana,
Yeah.
it wasn't just about roads and aqueducts.
Yep.
It was also about power, control, and the often brutal consequences of maintaining that control.
You got it.
Let's delve into one of the darker aspects of Roman culture,
Okay.
the gladiatorial games.
Oh, yeah.
We often romanticize the Colosseum,
Mm-hmm.
this grand symbol of Roman entertainment.
Right. But it was also a site of incredible violence.
It was.
Gladiatorial combat, public executions.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to comprehend that level of brutality today.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
But for the Romans, these spectacles,
Yeah.
they weren't simply entertainment.
No.
They were rituals that reinforced social order, Roman dominance, and even their understanding of virtue and sacrifice.
I mean, it's fascinating and disturbing
Yeah.
how different their values were from ours.
Really different.
And this brutality wasn't confined to the arena, right?
No.
The Roman Empire was constantly expanding,
Expanding.
conquering new territories, putting down rebellions.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to one of the most significant events of this era. The Jewish revolts against Rome.
That's a big one.
A huge one.
Deep resentment of Roman rule
Yeah.
and a fierce desire for independence.
And this ultimately led to the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem.
In 70 AD.
In 70 AD, yeah.
A catastrophic event that forever changed the course of Jewish history.
I mean, it's a tragedy
Yeah.
that still resonates today.
Absolutely.
And it highlights the complexities of the Pax Romana.
Yes.
I mean, for the Romans, crushing these revolts was necessary to maintain order and control.
Right.
But for the Jews,
Yeah.
it was a cataclysmic event
It was.
that resulted in widespread suffering
Yeah.
and the beginning of the Jewish diaspora.
It's a perfect example of how different groups experienced the Pax Romana
Yes,
in vastly different ways.
very different.
It reminds us that history is never simple.
Never simple.
That even periods of relative peace and stability are often built on foundations of conflict and oppression.
Makes you wonder, whose piece was it, really?
Yeah.
At what cost?
Important questions.
So as we delve deeper into the Pax Romana,
Yeah.
we're going to continue to unpack these complexities
Absolutely.
and explore the diverse experiences of those who lived through this era,
Yes.
both the conquerors and the conquered.
That's right.
I'm ready for the deep dive.
Me too.
I know our listeners are too.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about sources.
Okay.
We've got some fascinating firsthand accounts from this era,
Oh, really?
like the writings of Josephus.
Yeah.
He was a Jewish historian who witnessed the destruction of the temple firsthand.
Wow.
And his work gives us a powerful glimpse into the Jewish perspective on Roman rule
Mhm.
and the devastation of the revolts.
Josephus is an invaluable source.
Yes.
Provides a counter-narrative to the often triumphalist Roman accounts.
Yes.
And we also have archaeological evidence,
Like-
like the ruins of Pompeii and Herculaneum,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
which were preserved by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD.
It's incredible.
I know.
These sites offer a window into the daily lives of Romans,
Yes.
from the wealthy elite to ordinary citizens.
It's amazing to think that we can still walk through the streets of Pompeii,
It's
see the shops and houses,
Yeah.
and imagine what life was like for the people who lived there almost 2,000 years ago.
It's like stepping back in time.
It is.
And by combining these different sources,
Yes.
written accounts, archaeological evidence, inscriptions, and coins,
Yeah.
we can piece together a more nuanced and multifaceted understanding
Absolutely.
of the Pax Romana.
Yes.
We can see it not just as a grand narrative of Roman triumph,
Right.
but as a complex tapestry of human experiences, both positive and negative.
Exactly.
And that's what makes the deep dive so unique, right?
It is.
We're not just skimming the surface. We're diving deep into the sources,
That's right.
exploring different perspectives, and uncovering the hidden stories
Yeah.
that lie beneath the surface of history.
Absolutely.
And as we continue this deep dive into the Pax Romana, we're going to uncover stories of power, ambition, conflict, and resilience.
Oh, I can't wait.
We're going to encounter fascinating figures, from emperors and generals to ordinary people who lived and died under Roman rule.
Yeah.
And we're going to grapple with the enduring legacy of this era,
Absolutely.
exploring how it shaped Western civilization
Yeah.
and continues to influence our world today.
It's incredible.
It's easy to get caught up in the big picture stuff,
Right.
the emperors, the wars, the grand sweep of history.
Mm.
But I'm also curious
Yeah.
about what everyday life was like
Okay.
for ordinary people during the Pax Romana.
Okay.
Did everyone benefit
That's a great question.
from this so-called golden age?
And the answer, like most things in history, is complicated.
Okay.
Roman society was incredibly diverse.
Right.
Vast disparities in wealth and status.
Yeah.
For the wealthy elite, life during the Pax Romana
Yeah.
could be pretty luxurious.
Yeah.
Grand villas, elaborate banquets,
Wow.
access to education and entertainment.
So kind of like lifestyles of the rich and famous.
There are definitely some parallels,
Yeah.
but for the majority of the population, life was much more challenging.
Okay.
Farmers, laborers, craftspeople,
Right.
they worked hard to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And then you had slaves who had no rights
Right.
and were treated as property.
It's hard to imagine
so.
that kind of inequality existing
Yeah.
in a society that we consider so advanced.
It's a reminder that progress isn't always linear
Right.
and that even during periods of peace and prosperity,
Yeah.
deep injustices can persist.
And speaking of injustices,
Yeah.
you mentioned that Josephus provided a counter-narrative
Yes.
to the Roman perspective on the Jewish revolts.
Right.
What kind of details does he give us
Well, for one,
that we wouldn't find in Roman accounts?
Josephus vividly describes the brutality of the Roman siege of Jerusalem.
Oh, wow.
He talks about the horrors of famine,
Right.
the desperation of the people trapped inside the city walls,
Yeah.
and the massacres that occurred when the Romans finally breached the defenses.
It must have been a terrifying experience
It was, absolutely.
to live through.
Josephus's account is full of drama and tragedy.
Yeah.
He describes acts of courage and sacrifice, as well as moments of despair and betrayal.
Wow.
It's a powerful reminder
Yeah.
of the human cost of war and conquest.
And his writings help us understand the motivations
Yes.
of the Jewish rebel.
Absolutely.
Their yearning for freedom and independence.
Exactly.
So it wasn't just about religious differences.
Right.
It was about political autonomy, cultural identity,
Yeah.
resistance to Roman oppression.
You got it.
You know, when we talk about Roman values,
Yeah.
we often hear about virtus,
Right.
this concept of courage, honor, and duty.
That's right.
But how did the Romans view those who resisted their rule?
That's a fascinating question.
Were they seen as brave?
Or foolish.
From the Roman perspective,
Yeah.
those who rebelled against Roman authority.
Were often seen as barbarians,
Okay.
threats to the stability of the empire.
So not in a good light.
Not really, no.
Were they ever given credit
Not really.
for their courage or their fight for freedom?
No.
So it's all about perspective, right?
It often is.
Yeah.
One person's hero is another person's villain.
And that's why it's so important to consider multiple perspectives.
It is,
But-
to try to understand the motivations and beliefs
Yeah.
of all the players involved, even those we might disagree with.
Which reminds me of
Yeah.
something we touched on earlier.
Okay.
These potential pitfalls
Yeah.
of viewing the past
Yeah.
through a modern lens.
It's tempting to judge the Romans by our own values,
It is.
to condemn their practices that we find abhorrent.
Like slavery.
Like
Slavery or gladiatorial combat.
Exactly.
But to truly understand the Pax Romana,
Yes.
we need to try to see it through the eyes of those who lived it,
We do.
to grasp their worldview,
Mm-hmm.
their beliefs, their assumptions. It's like trying to step into someone else's shoes.
It is.
Right.
We need to approach the past with empathy and humility,
Yeah.
recognizing that people in different times and places
Mm-hmm.
often had vastly different ways of thinking and living.
It's a good reminder
It is.
that history isn't just about dates and battles.
Right.
It's about understanding the human experience
Yes.
in all its complexity.
Absolutely.
Speaking of complexity,
Okay.
let's talk about the rise of Christianity
Oh, yeah.
during the Pax Romana.
Interesting.
It's a fascinating story
It is.
of how a small, persecuted sect,
Mm-hmm.
born on the fringes of the empire,
Right.
eventually transformed the Roman world
Yeah.
and became a global religion.
Huge.
It's amazing to think
I know.
about how much Christianity has shaped Western civilization.
Absolutely.
But it's also hard to reconcile this peace and love message of Jesus
yeah,
with the brutality of the Roman Empire.
it's a stark contrast.
How was Christianity able to take root
Yeah.
and spread into society?
Yeah.
It seemed so hostile to its message.
Well, the Roman Empire had extensive road systems,
Right.
and the Pax Romana, with
Yeah.
its network of roads
Yeah.
and relative stability, actually facilitated the spread of Christianity.
Okay.
It allowed for easier travel and communication,
Yeah.
which helped early Christian missionaries to reach new audiences.
So the very empire that persecuted Christians
Yeah.
actually helped to spread their message.
A little bit ironic.
It is.
It highlights the complex interplay of factors that shape historical events.
Right.
But Roman persecution also played a role in Christianity's growth.
Oh, okay. How so?
Well, the stories of Christian martyrs,
Mm-hmm.
those who were persecuted and killed for their faith,
Right.
often inspired others to convert. Their courage and conviction in the face of death
Yeah.
testified to the power of their beliefs.
So in a way, the Roman Empire inadvertently sowed the seeds
Right.
of its own transformation
Yeah.
by persecuting Christians.
You could definitely argue that it's a reminder
Yeah.
that even the most powerful empires are vulnerable to the power of ideas.
It's a fascinating paradox.
It is.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about the emperors themselves.
Okay.
Were they all tyrannical figures like Nero?
Actually, the emperors who ruled during the Pax Romana
Okay.
were a surprisingly diverse group.
Okay.
You had figures like Trajan,
Yeah.
known for his military conquests and ambitious building projects.
Okay.
Hadrian, a scholar and administrator who focused on consolidating Roman power and
Oh.
promoting cultural exchange.
Okay.
And Antoninus Pius, known for his peaceful reign
Okay.
and his emphasis on justice.
So it wasn't just a parade of power-hungry despots.
Not at all.
Wow.
Many of the emperors during the Pax Romana
Yeah.
were considered to be wise and effective rulers.
Okay.
They understood that maintaining peace and prosperity
Yeah.
required more than just military might.
Right.
It also required good governance,
Mm-hmm.
sound economic policies.
Right.
And a willingness to address the needs of the people.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act
It was.
to pull that off.
The fact that the Pax Romana lasted for over 2 centuries
Right.
is a testament to the skills
Yeah.
of many of these emperors.
They had to deal with a lot.
They did.
Internal factions,
Yeah.
external threats,
That's right.
and the ever-present danger of rebellion.
It's a lot.
But even the greatest empires eventually crumble.
They do.
What factors contributed to the decline of the Roman Empire?
That's a complex question.
Right.
Historians have been debating for centuries,
Yeah.
but some of the key factors
Yeah.
include overexpansion, economic instability,
Right.
political corruption,
Mm.
and pressure from barbarian tribes.
So it wasn't just one thing,
Right.
but a bunch of things that eventually brought the mighty empire to its knees.
A confluence of factors.
how?
It's a reminder
What is it a reminder of?
that even the most powerful and seemingly invincible empires.
Are ultimately built on fragile foundations.
Yeah.
Everything has to end at some point.
What a humbling thought.
It is.
Let's talk about the legacy of the Pax Romana.
Okay. Yeah.
What are some of its enduring impacts
Well, one of the most obvious impacts
on Western civilization?
is the Roman legal system,
Okay.
which formed the basis for many modern legal codes.
Oh, wow.
Roman law emphasized concepts like justice, fairness, and the rule of law.
Those are good concepts.
They are, and these principles are still at the heart
Yeah.
of Western legal systems today.
It's incredible to think
It is.
that the ideas of a civilization
Yeah,
that existed thousands of years ago
right.
still influence us today.
Absolutely.
It's not just law.
Yeah.
Roman architecture,
Yeah.
engineering, urban planning.
It all left an indelible mark
Yeah.
on Western civilization.
I mean, think of iconic structures
Oh, yeah?
like the Colosseum, the Pantheon, the aqueducts.
Absolutely.
These weren't just feats of engineering.
Yeah.
They were expressions of Roman power,
Mm-hmm.
ingenuity,
Yeah.
and a belief in the importance of public works.
Public works were very important to them.
So the Pax Romana wasn't just a period of peace and prosperity.
Right.
It was also an era of incredible
Control.
cultural and technological innovation.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget
Okay.
the Romans' contributions
Yeah.
to literature,
Mhm.
philosophy,
Yeah.
and history.
Their works continue to be studied and admired for their
Mhm.
insights into the human condition.
You know, when I think about the Roman concept of virtus,
Yeah.
it seems so different from our modern values.
Yes, it does.
But there's something about it
Yeah.
that still resonates.
Okay.
This idea of courage,
Yeah.
honor, and duty.
It's a complex concept.
It is.
And it was often used to justify Roman expansion and dominance.
Right.
But at its core,
Yeah.
it also reflects ideals of personal responsibility, civic duty,
Yeah.
and striving for excellence.
Okay.
And those are ideals. Yes.
That continue to hold relevance today,
Absolutely.
even if we express them in different ways.
So the legacy of the Pax Romana
Yes.
is kind of a mixed bag,
It is.
full of both positive and negative aspects.
Absolutely.
I mean, we can't romanticize Roman rule
Right.
or ignore its brutality,
yeah,
but we can appreciate the achievements of this era
we can.
and recognize its enduring influence on our world.
Exactly.
We've covered a lot of ground today,
Yeah.
exploring the Pax Romana,
Yeah.
from its grand narratives of empire
Mm.
to its intimate stories of human experience.
Absolutely.
We've talked about the achievements of this era
Yes,
as
yeah.
well as its dark sides.
That's right.
What are some key takeaways you want our listeners to remember
Well, one of the most important takeaways
of this deep dive?
is that the Pax Romana, despite its name,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just about peace.
Okay.
It was about power control
Yeah.
and the often brutal consequences
Yeah.
of maintaining that control. So we need to understand this era
Yes,
in all its complexity.
we do, acknowledging both its achievements
Yeah.
and its dark sides.
It's a reminder that history is never simple,
That's right.
and that even the most seemingly peaceful periods
Yeah,
are often built on foundations of conflict and inequality.
it's true.
Absolutely.
Another key takeaway
Okay, what's that?
is the importance of perspective.
Okay.
We need to approach the Roman world on its own terms,
Okay.
recognizing that its values and assumptions
Mhm.
were often radically different from our own.
Okay.
And we need to seek out multiple voices and
Ugh.
perspectives,
Right.
especially those who were marginalized,
Right.
silenced
Okay.
in the official Roman accounts.
It's like we're trying to piece together a mosaic,
Yeah.
and each individual tile represents a different perspective
It does.
on this era.
That's a great analogy.
And finally,
Yeah.
what else should they remember?
I want our listeners to remember that the Pax Romana
Wasn't just a distant historical period.
Right.
Its legacy continues to shape our world today.
How so?
From our legal systems to our architecture,
Right.
to our very ideas about power and civilization.
It's everywhere.
It is.
So by studying the Pax Romana,
Yeah.
we can gain a deeper understanding of
Right, yeah.
ourselves and the forces that have shaped our world.
Absolutely.
It's incredible to think about how much we can still learn
Yeah.
from a civilization
Right.
that existed 2,000 years ago.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder if future civilizations
Right.
will be picking apart our lives
Oh, yeah.
with the same curiosity.
I'm sure they will.
Right.
And they'll probably have just as many questions about our time as we do about the Romans.
Speaking of questions,
Yeah.
there's one thing I keep coming back to.
Okay.
We talk about the Pax Romana
Right.
as this era of peace and prosperity,
Hmm.
but it seems like it was largely enforced through military might.
What does that tell us about the nature of peace itself?
That is a profound question,
It is.
and it's one that has resonated throughout history.
Right.
The Pax Romana highlights this complex relationship
Mm-hmm.
between peace and power.
Okay.
It suggests that peace,
Aye.
especially on a large scale,
Yeah.
often requires some form of control,
Yeah.
whether it's through military force,
Yeah.
laws, or cultural norms.
So it makes you wonder if true peace
Yeah.
can ever exist without some element of enforcement.
It's a debate that continues to this day.
It does.
But what we can learn from the Pax Romana is
Right.
that peace, even when enforced,
Yeah.
can create the conditions for
Yeah.
stability, growth,
Right.
and cultural exchange.
Right.
It can allow for the flourishing of art, literature, philosophy, and trade.
So it's not just about the absence of war.
Right.
It's about creating an environment
Yeah.
where society can thrive.
Exactly. And
Right.
that's an important lesson to remember, especially in our own time,
Yeah.
when we face so many global challenges.
We've talked a lot about the Roman perspective
Yeah.
on the Pax Romana,
Right.
but I'm curious to explore
Okay.
how it was experienced
Mm.
by those who were on the receiving end of Roman rule,
Absolutely.
particularly those who resisted Roman authority.
We can't truly understand the Pax Romana without
Okay.
considering the perspectives of those
Yeah.
who were conquered and subjugated by the Romans.
Right.
Their stories offer a crucial counter-narrative
Okay.
to the Roman accounts,
Yeah.
revealing the human cost of empire
Okay.
and the resilience of those who fought for their freedom.
We talked about the Jewish revolts earlier
We did.
and the writings of Josephus.
Yes.
Are there other sources that shed light on the experiences of those who resisted Roman rule?
For example, archaeological evidence from sites like Masada.
Masada.
It was a mountaintop fortress
Okay.
where a group of Jewish rebels made a last stand against the Romans, tells a powerful story of resistance and defiance.
That's powerful.
And there are accounts from Roman historians like Tacitus,
Okay.
who, while writing from a Roman perspective,
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless provide glimpses into the courage and determination of
Yeah.
those who opposed Roman rule.
So archaeology can offer a different kind of narrative.
It can,
Okay.
one that doesn't rely on written words.
Right.
It often challenges or complicates the stories
Yeah.
we find in written accounts.
And it gives us a more
Grounded.
grounded, tangible
Yes.
connection to the past.
It does.
One of the things that strikes me
Yeah.
about the Roman Empire is its vastness.
It was huge.
It stretched across continents,
Yeah.
encompassing a wide array
Uh,
of cultures and peoples.
it did.
How did the Romans manage to govern such a diverse empire?
Roman rule was remarkably adaptable.
Okay.
In some cases, they adopted a policy of assimilation,
Okay.
encouraging conquered peoples to adopt Roman customs and language.
Okay, so like making them more Roman. Okay.
In other cases, they allowed for a degree of local autonomy,
Oh, interesting.
as long as the conquered people paid their taxes
Right.
and didn't rebel.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act,
It was.
trying to maintain control
Yeah.
without completely alienating the conquered populations.
The Romans weren't always successful.
Right?
Their rule often sparked resentment and rebellion.
Yeah, like we saw with the Jewish revolts.
Exactly.
Communication must have been a major challenge,
Oh, yeah.
given the vast distances
Absolutely.
and the diversity of languages
Absolutely.
spoken throughout the empire.
You're right.
So how did they do it?
Communication was crucial
Yeah.
for maintaining control and administering justice.
So how did they communicate?
Latin, the language of the Romans,
Okay.
became the official language of the empire,
Okay.
used in government, law, and the military.
Right.
However, many local languages
Okay.
continued to be spoken
Yeah.
in everyday life,
Right.
reflecting the cultural diversity of the empire.
So the Pax Romana wasn't just about Romanization.
Right.
It was also about managing and accommodating
Yeah.
cultural differences.
Exactly.
And this approach to governance
Yeah.
had a lasting impact
It did.
on the development of Western civilization.
Absolutely. The Romans were masters of administration,
Okay.
and their system of law,
Hmm.
taxation, and infrastructure
Okay.
influenced the development of European states
Wow.
for centuries to come.
We've talked about the impact of the Pax Romana
We have.
on law,
Yeah.
architecture, and
Right.
governance.
Right.
But what about its cultural legacy?
Oh, that's a big one.
How did Roman art,
Mm-hmm.
literature, and philosophy
Right.
influence the development of Western thought?
The cultural legacy of the Pax Romana is vast and enduring.
Okay.
Roman literature,
Hmm.
from the epic poetry of Virgil to the philosophical writings of Seneca,
Yeah.
has had a profound impact on Western thought,
Okay.
Roman art, and architecture. With their emphasis on grandeur, symmetry, and realism,
Right.
continue to inspire artists and architects today.
They do.
And Roman ideas about law, justice, and citizenship
Right.
have shaped our understanding
Yeah.
of political and social order.
It's amazing to think
It is.
that a civilization that existed so long ago
Right?
continues to exert such a powerful influence
It does.
on our world today.
It's a testament to the enduring power of human creativity
It is.
and the interconnectedness of history.
Yeah.
The Pax Romana wasn't just a period of Roman history, it was a
Right.
foundational era
Yeah.
for Western civilization.
It really was.
Its legacy is all around us,
Yeah.
woven into the fabric of our laws, our culture,
right.
and our very way of thinking.
I feel like we could talk about the Pax Romana for hours.
You could.
There's just so much to explore.
There is.
So many fascinating stories to uncover.
So many.
Unfortunately, our time is up for today.
I know, I'm sad too.
I am too.
But before we go, I want to encourage our listeners to continue exploring the Pax Romana on their own.
Yeah, it's a fascinating period.
It is.
There are countless books,
Yeah.
articles,
Absolutely.
and documentaries out there
Mm-hmm.
that can deepen your understanding
Absolutely.
of this fascinating period.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive,
Yeah.
be sure to check out our archive of episodes on
Yeah.
the deep dive.
We've got a lot of great content.
We do.
We cover a wide range of topics,
a wide range.
from history and science
Mhm.
to culture and current events.
That's right.
There's something for everyone.
There is.
And be sure to subscribe to the show
Yes.
so you don't miss any future deep dives.
Absolutely.
We're always exploring new topics
Yeah.
and uncovering hidden stories.
We are.
Thanks for joining us
Yes. Thank you.
on this journey through the Pax Romana.
We hope you learned something new
I know I did.
and that it sparked your curiosity
Yeah.
to explore history further.